I can't tell you where I see myself in 5 years, but I can tell you that I will work my best to be the most successful artist that I can be in 5 years.
What do you want to be remembered for? Like when you're like, you know, an older lady and you're about to retire, it's like, what is it the thing you want to be remembered for?
Remembered as Rihanna. Remembered as being the artist from the Caribbean who came here and made it internationally. Just remember it as me, because
What it is, ho, what's up?
Rihanna has this natural energy to her. She gives off a crazy, sexy, cool attitude that has been the catalyst to why people like her. Surprisingly enough, there's people who think she's overrated, that her being a pretty face was what got her to where she is now. She's not the best vocalist or dancer, so they wonder, how did she get this far? How did she achieve a billionaire status? Well, for those who are wondering, I'm here to tell you. Rihanna's appeal is very much her brand, and not many people have that. It's something that comes very naturally. From the start of her career to now, it has definitely been a helping hand into what became Rihanna. This unfortunately didn't save her from going through her own trials and tribulations through the industry. From public humiliation to facing abuse at the hands of someone she will forever love, her news being leaked for the world to see, to filing for bankruptcy and almost going broke. Through all of that, she has managed to become one of the most versatile artists that came from the 2000s to running a billion-dollar empire in fashion and beauty. Rihanna is a universal pop star. Her charismatic energy has helped draw people in, starting from when she was a young girl from Barbados. It didn't take much for Rihanna to be discovered. Famous American music producer Evan Rogers visited Barbados and was having girls audition for him. Rihanna formed a trio with her friends, but she was the only one that showed up late to the audition. Most people would be upset, but he said when Rihanna walked in, there was something different about her. He thought to himself that maybe Rihanna was in a group because she was too beautiful. She sang Beyonce's Dangerously in Love. He mentioned although she hit some of the notes, she did miss the bigger ones, but the tone of her voice and her beauty being so distinctive, he thought it was enough to push her forward. Rihanna is strikingly beautiful, and with her beauty, it's really all in the eyes. I think she has a lot of self-assurance within her, and that essence really helps her. Her features are very cat-like and naturally seductive. We can see with her performance for Hero, in the beginning of her career, she wasn't that strong vocally.
With the strength to carry on and cast the fears aside.
But she has a good voice and her accent is a benefiting factor. So things just work out when it comes to her vocal range. She created demo tapes that was sent to Def Jam. Those demos fell into the hands of Jay-Z, who was appointed president and CEO of Def Jam. Surprisingly, Jay thought the track Ponder Replay was too big for Rihanna and was skeptical about her, but he still invited her to audition for Def Jam. When Jay first saw her, he introduced her to L.A. Reid. During the audition, L.A. made it known in his book that the thing that truly got him was Rihanna piercing him with these laser eyes. He saw determination, he saw commitment, and it was enough for him to sign her. But that means nothing. Although Rihanna was signed, she wasn't a priority for Def Jam. Def Jam was looking for a female talent for the label. They had signed multiple girls, and Teairra Marie was one of them. Teairra Marie was in close cahoots with Jay-Z. She was a main girl that they paid attention to because she looked like she had more potential. According to VP A&R at Allen Def Jam Music Group, Shakir Stewart, in an interview with Hit Quarters, he stated, "Teairra was a star when she walked into the room. She captured the room when she did her audition. We fell in love with her from day one." Teairra really had a promising career. Being named the Princess of Rockefeller was a huge deal at the time. Jay was building his brand from rapper to CEO, so being associated and signed to Jay in the early 2000s was a good way to easily establish a career.
Some of the artists, Teairra Marie.
Yeah.
Okay, and she's the first lady of the rock?
She's the princess.
The princess.
Yeah.
Okay, and what sets her apart as an artist from other R&B vocalists, female, that you think?
I just say, like, she's young, you know what I'm saying? So the integrity and the truth in what she's saying, you know what I'm saying, mixed with how she's really a sweet, innocent girl if you speak to her, you know what I'm saying? But she's seen a lot, so her twist on it and her take on it is unique. Yeah.
What made you decide? I mean, she's your first signing since you came into power, right? I mean, were you a little reluctant? I mean, when you go into that thought process, this is going to be the first thing that everybody's going to see. My boss is going to see.
What happened was, L.A., she was signed there already, and she had this song, and then L.A., it came over one day and was like, you know, I think it'd be great if you work with this artist. And I was like, well, let me meet her. And immediately when she came into the studio, like, you know, just her energy, I was like, she's a star.
Teairra viewed Jay-Z as a mentor and father figure during this period. She was still in high school and was pushing for this career. Jay had a helping hand in Teairra's first album. Her album was titled Rockefeller Records Presents Teairra Marie, and the album actually did well. Unfortunately, it didn't live up to the expectations of what the label wanted. That wasn't the only thing that led to the demise of Teairra's career. There was a performance where Teairra, A. and Rihanna were paying tribute to Destiny's Child in the World Music Awards in 2005. Teairra was the one pushed to sing the lead vocals. Beyonce throughout her career has had the main spotlight on her in Destiny's Child. Always singing lead, it penned a new term for being the Beyonce of the group. In that performance, Teairra was Beyonce, so it highlights the way Teairra was pushed to the forefront as a star. It's extremely unfortunate that this performance also played a factor in why Teairra's career didn't move far. At the end of the performance, Beyonce went up to L.A. Reid and told him that Rihanna is someone he should watch out for. Some people feel that although Rihanna did great in this performance, she wasn't the standout star, so what really made Beyonce do this? After this interaction, LA decided to shift his focus more to Rihanna, even though Teairra was the one that he signed. Teairra's album did well, but it didn't reach the expectations of the label, even though it reached number 5 on Billboard and number 2 on the R&B charts. Immediately, it was like Teairra didn't have the potential anymore to be a rising star. Being dropped from the label soon after, right before her prom, and Jay cutting off all contact with her.
At one point, you got dropped from Rockefeller, and you didn't really see it coming.
Right. I mean, no, I did not see it coming. I was getting ready for my prom, getting out the shower, and I got a call from Jay Brown, who works for Jay-Z, and he just told me, you know, it was a nice run, kiddo, but, you know, we gotta let you go. So that was the end of it, and I just kept it to myself for like 6 months. You know, I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to deal with the questioning and all of that, so I just kept it to myself, and finally people started hearing it through the grapevine.
You kind of had like a mentor relationship with Jay-Z during that time?
Yeah, he was definitely a mentor. He was like a father figure. He was a great guy. I learned a lot from Jay, so.
In May of 2005, Rihanna dropped a few singles, It's Lovin' That You Want, and her debut single, Ponder Replay.
If it's something that you need, then baby, come and share my world. Come Mr. DJ, somebody replay.
This song became the single charting worldwide, peaking in the top 5 in 15 countries, including number 2 on the US Billboard Hot 100. The song became a club banger in the United States. This single really made Rihanna and has aged well as a Rihanna classic. What makes it more appealing was the fact that it was featured on the movie Bring It On All or Nothing, which is a series of cheerleading movies. The movie was leading with A-list actress Hayden Panettiere and Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister. Aside from the occasional racism, it is considered one of the best Bring It On movies, which ended off with her cameo and her song featured in the movie. Ponder Replay was the main standout single, the album debuting at number 10 on Billboard. The problem with Rihanna was because the song was so big, a lot of people thought that she was gonna be a one-hit wonder. So when her first album dropped, a month later, she immediately went to work on her second.
What has happened to you is kind of a whirlwind. How are you feeling about your second single coming out before your album even dropped?
I am so happy about that, because you know, people could get confused about Ponder Replay being so big and thinking I'm a one-hit wonder, and it's so glad that we get the opportunity to show them that that's not what we're about. We're about making and selling albums and developing a real artist here, so I'm glad about that.
The album A Girl Like Me incorporated different sounds and ballads. It was a good predecessor for Rihanna as she was still a new artist in establishing her sound. SOS was her lead single and first single to go number 1. Her other singles, We Ride and Unfaithful, helped her avoid the sophomore curse. The album peaked at number 5 on Billboard. SOS doing better than Ponder Replay by a long shot. By the time of Rihanna's third album in 2007, Good Girl Gone Bad, she honestly just kept doing better than the last album. Rihanna had what is presumably the best year with this album. Working with producers like The Dream and Timbaland, her collaboration with Jay-Z on the song Umbrella took the world by storm. literally. The song topped the charts for 8 weeks in Ireland, and ironically, they had the worst storms recorded in the last 50 years. Europe also felt the sad fate of being surrounded by umbrellas. Dealing with rainy weather all summer, it wasn't until the song got knocked down because of T-Pain's Bartender that the weather began to clear up, but the song is one of the best-selling songs of all time. The album was riddled with promising singles that did amazing on the charts. Don't Stop the Music, Hate That I Love You, and Rehab and Shut Up and Drive.
Baby, you got the key. Now shut up and drive. Please don't stop the, please don't stop the, please don't stop the music.
The album receiving 7 Grammy Award nominations and winning the Best Rap Song Collaboration. What made this era of Rihanna also interesting was shedding her cookie-cutter image. Pixie cuts are considered more so an edgier look, and she decided to go jet black to give it a bold statement, which is different from the brown tone colors she did before. This made her more interesting, keeping her audience more excited. She was playing around with her sound more and started incorporating more sexier looks, most importantly, showing that she is growing up.
The album said A Good Girl Gone Bad, which is an interesting title to say the least, and I was wondering if you could kind of explain the significance of it or how it pertains to you.
Yeah, well, Good Girl Gone Bad, I know everyone is probably wondering why Good Girl Gone Bad, but it really, I just took the bad girl attitude of everything and I just did everything my way. I didn't really consult with anybody. I just wanted to do everything the way I wanted to do it. I wanted to look what I wanted to look like. I wanted to dress and sound like what I wanted to sound like. I was just tired of that innocent image that I had. It was just getting a little generic and boring.
She was in her teens when she started out, but now she's going into her 20s. It's time for a grown look. Then you have her reloaded version the next year, which included singles Disturbia, which was more of a pop record that played with techno sounds, and Take a Bow, which was more of an R&B ballad. Personally, I can never hear this song without thinking of this.
Talking about girl, I love you, you're the one. Well, this just looks like a rerun. Please don't do this.
This was also around the time that there was rumors on Beyonce and Rihanna's alleged beef. There has never been any serious instances that can cause people to speculate that there's beef from Beyonce and Rihanna, aside from the Jay-Z association and the fact that they never collabed together. I dove more deep into this in my video about why R&B never happened, so go check it out if you need more reference, but it was being speculated a lot by various people.
Do you say, yo Jay, they think you and I are... No. You don't talk to him about it?
Not at all.
Oh my gosh.
No, we had talks. I mean, we talked about not letting it get in the way because at one point it got to me so much that I got nervous around him.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even be myself around him anymore.
So have you ever dated Jay-Z?
Not at all.
Never.
Around this time, Rihanna found a love interest in 2008 when she and Chris Brown began officially dating. Chris Brown had a debut the same year as Rihanna and achieved massive success following his first album. Him and Rihanna were the it couple of the late 2010s. She was beautiful and he was handsome, so it looked like the perfect matching for two young artists. And don't forget, being together was definitely an image booster. Being young, dumb, and famous, they were in the euphoric stage, but the house came tumbling down one night. Chris Brown and Rihanna were leaving Clive Davis' party. Beforehand, a girl that Chris Brown used to mess with entered the party, which upset Rihanna. Chris had previously told her that he never messed with the girl, but later revealed to her that that was a lie. Upon leaving the party, that's when the girl texted him and Rihanna saw the message. This led to a fight that forever stained both the stars' images. This created a whole whirlwind of mess in Hollywood. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about it. Other celebrities were asked to voice their opinion, and a lot of people in Hollywood were either on the fence or were in support of Rihanna or Chris, especially people from the outside looking in. Chris Brown had to do press interviews back to back to fix his image. Chris Brown was arrested and sentenced to 5 years probation. This situation was very big on both parts. This was the first incident of abuse that plagued Chris Brown's career to even now. Even though it was a personal situation, both of them had to speak on it.
I get angry all over again. Every time I see it, the whole thing plays back in my head. So I don't like to see it.
Why be ashamed?
Why would you be ashamed?
I fell in love with that person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. It can be scary. We just fell really fast. The more in love we became, the more dangerous we became for each other, equally as dangerous, because it was a bit of an obsession, almost. I caught him in LA, and he wouldn't tell the truth. So I wouldn't drop it. I kept saying, I couldn't take that he kept lying to me, and he couldn't take that I wouldn't drop it, because obviously his back was up against the wall. The truth is right here in the text message. It escalated into him being violent towards me, and it was ugly. That's all I kept thinking the whole time. When is it gonna stop? When is it gonna stop? He had no soul in his eyes, just blank. He was clearly blacked out. There was no person when I looked at him. I was bleeding, I was swollen in my face. And we were in love. It just takes time. The love doesn't go away right away, you know. He didn't accept that very well. Obviously he didn't want us to be apart. But I know how to make a decision for me. I don't hate him at all. I actually love and care about him, and I think I'm concerned about him doing well. I want him to do well, have a great career, have a great life, and grow up, and just take this as something that you had to go through to grow up and learn. I fell in love with that person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. I'm a human being, and people put me on a very unrealistic pedestal, and all these expectations, you start lying to yourself. The minute the physical wounds go away, you want this thing to go away. This is a memory you don't want to have ever again. My selfish decision for love could result into some young girl getting killed. I could not be easy with that part. I couldn't be held responsible for telling them, go back. Even if Chris never hit me again, who's to say that their boyfriend won't? Who's to say that they won't kill these girls? And these are young girls, and I just didn't realize how much of an impact I had on these girls' lives until that happened.
I was wrong for what I did, and I would definitely say that it's not something that I look past or look over. It's something that's really, really touchy, and like I said, I'm really sorry for what went down and what happened.
Hi, I'm Chris Brown. Since February, my attorney has advised me not to speak out, even though ever since the incident I wanted to publicly express my deepest regret and accept full responsibility. Although I would do some interviews and answer some questions in the future, I felt it was time that you heard directly from me that I am sorry.
3 weeks after the situation, her and Chris did meet up to hang out, but considering the dynamics of the situation, they ended it after that. Rihanna feeling like she lost her best friend along the way and was apologetic on her part that led to the night.
I lost my best friend. Like, everything I knew switched in a night, and I couldn't control that. So I had to deal with that, and that's not easy for me to understand or interpret. And it's not easy to interpret on camera, not with the world watching. So it was hard for me to even pay attention to my mind and figuring things out, because now it became a circus, and I felt protective. Like, I felt like
The only person they hate right now is him. It was a weird, confusing space to be in. Because as angry as I was, as angry and hurt and betrayed, I just felt like he made that mistake because he needed help. And like, who's gonna help him? Nobody's gonna say he needs help. Everybody's gonna say he's a monster without looking at the source. And I was more concerned about him.
Chris Brown's apology tour was to clean up his image because he was still a very big star, so his PR team was working overtime. But as time went on, they continued to ask him about Rihanna over and over and over again until he started becoming more angry about the situation.
Clearly touched a nerve, and his behavior now has everyone talking.
A shattered window, which Chris allegedly destroyed after he stormed off the GMA stage.
There he is, shirtless, storming out of the studio.
Brown reportedly used a chair to smash a window in his dressing room.
I guess he's not a morning person.
It's the interview that set off a firestorm.
Recently, the restraining order against you that Rihanna had issued has been relaxed. Have you all seen each other, been around each other?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me now as far as that situation. This album is what I want them to talk about and not the stuff that happened 2 years ago.
Chris Brown had agreed to talk about his past.
On Rihanna's end, there was a nude of her leaked to the internet. This was around the time that artists were getting hacked, so Rihanna's nude photo along with Cassie's were leaked. Rihanna had a reason to assume it was Chris who sent out the photo because she sent it to him.
She was the DA. Again, long relationship with Mary. Really reasonable, not one of these crazy true believers, nice person. And they had worked out a deal. Well, all of a sudden, I don't know if you remember, but naked pictures of Rihanna surfaced on the internet. And
wait, naked pictures or the beat up pictures of her
naked
face?
Pictures.
Oh, naked pictures. Okay.
The beat up pictures came, somebody from the LAPD sold them. No. Topless pictures that were taken from her cell phone that she had allegedly sent to Chris when they were dating.
Okay.
And they ended up on the internet. My understanding is that Rihanna lost body fluid, contacted the DA after they had made a deal but had not been solidified by the court that he was not going to do any jail time. He would plead out and do some anger management. And at that point, she contacted her attorney, Don Teairra, who passed away, great guy. And he contacted the DA and said she wants jail time. He's got to go to jail. So Garagos had me find the source because, again, Chris flat out said, I didn't do this. And he had me find the source of the photographs. Ultimately, during that time period, not only did I find the source of the photographs, we also found other pictures. The same person had of Cassie Ventura, who at the time Cassie was Sean Combs' puppy, right. P. Did whatever he's calling himself.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So that person had leaked those simultaneously. And what it turned out to be is Rodney Jerkins, who's a producer.
I know Rodney Jerkins.
Okay. Somebody had hacked Rodney's phone and gotten phone numbers of Cassie and Rihanna and then Rihanna or whatever, some other people. And that person had gone into those phones. And that's sort of what it was. And so I was brought in to figure this out. And one of the things that I had done, there's a young lady, I don't know her real name. She's a TMZ wannabe down in Atlanta. She goes by the name of Nicole Bitchy. She has a website or something.
Yeah, I know Nicole.
Oh, okay. So I went down. I talked to her on the phone. She wouldn't respond. She was going to get me more information. And I went down and I basically showed up at her door in Atlanta and freaked her out because I didn't at the time know her last name and she thought she was protected. And, that's what I do. But I was able to determine that she was offered these pictures by some guy in Denmark in December. Now, this incident didn't happen until February. The arrest was in February. But prior to that, in December, this guy had contacted Nicole to see if she wanted to buy these photographs. And she said no. But she still had the email. She had the information. So we got it. And we were able to go back and show Rihanna's attorney, Teairra. He had nothing to do with this. This was done a long time ago. In the process of that, I was also able to find that Cassie's pictures were part of it. And at the time, Mark was representing Sean Combs. And so we contacted him and I was explaining, this is what happened. And poor Rodney, everybody was kind of pointing the finger at him, but it absolutely was not him. It was some guy in Denmark. And that was the extent of my involvement, to get Rihanna to back down so that he could do no jail time.
Aha. So basically, Rihanna wanted Chris Brown to go to jail, not because he beat her up, but because he had leaked her nude photos.
Bingo.
They both have said their piece and moved on, but the situation is unforgettable because of the stain it put on their careers and personal lives. A few months after the incident, Rihanna was featured on the single Run This Town by Jay-Z, which also featured Kanye West. Beginning to move on from her relationship drama, Rihanna stumbled into financial issues. Rihanna had an estimated $11 million in cash in the beginning of the year, but by the time it ended, she was only left with $2 million and $20,000 cash. Bad financial choices were made by her accountants. They allowed her to mismanage her money, telling her it was okay for her to purchase a $7 million home when she wasn't financially equipped. Her accountants knew she was running out of money and didn't tell her. During her Last Girl on Earth tour, Rihanna was actually losing money, while her accountants took home 23% of her tour money, while Rihanna only got 6%. Patricia Williams, Rihanna's business manager, said that when Teairra Marie was dropped from the label, Rihanna was a close second. Def Jam didn't want to fund Rihanna entirely, so she was relying on personal funds and endorsements to keep pushing her career. When Rihanna debuted, she was put in the category of one-hit wonder and/or singles artist. And being a singles artist, you're only good as your last hit. So the label basically left her out to dry as she scrambled to put money together for video shoots and music. Although Rihanna signed a 6-album deal, Def Jam didn't intend on her releasing an album every year. Mark was the one that was continuously finding loopholes to get Rihanna's career pushing. A lot of the music videos from 2005 to 2009 were funded by her or by her endorsement deals. Even when Umbrella went #1 for over 10 weeks, her album sales were disappointing to the label, only selling over 150,000 copies first week. Even with her single Disturbia, which was edgy, L.A. Reid didn't support it because he felt like it was too dark. Another example of Rihanna proving him wrong and doing it on her own. Although it looked like everything was roses from the outside, she was going through a lot with her personal relationships and music. So every time she'd make money, it was being redistributed to fund her career before she even got to touch any of it. This became the beginning of Rihanna's work ethic to build herself back up, and the last time she will ever go broke again. In 2009, that's when we started to see how Rihanna branded herself with her musical eras. This was also when the Illuminati allegations started to rise, but the Illuminati era had the best music, so at least we got that. She was more bold with her look and was experimenting more with rock sounds. This album, like her others, was successful, spawning 6 singles including Rude Boy, Te Amo, and Russian Roulette.
Come here, rude boy, boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy, boy, is you big enough?
In 2010, Rihanna collaborated with Nicki Minaj, David Guetta, and Kanye West, and Eminem, her most successful collaboration to date.
Just gonna stand there and hear me cry.
This is also when Rihanna decided it was time to change her image again to fit this new era in her career. Loud. This era was very loud, with Rihanna ditching the black pixie cut and incorporating a bright red color to fit this new version of her. You see this era as being Rihanna's fan favorite. This was also around the time she was dating Drake, right after ending things with Chris Brown. Drake was developing into a megastar in hip-hop, being a part of Young Money. Their collaboration on songs, What's My Name, becoming her third #1. Her other lead single, S&M, portrayed the soft-core act on fetishes. The music video was banned in many countries. She played around with colorful pop songs that played up-tempo beats, along with Only Girl in the World, and soft acoustic songs like California King Bed and Man Down, which touched on her Caribbean roots.
Want you to make me feel like I'm the only girl in the world. In this California king bed. Man down,
This loud era was majorly successful, of course, and her style became more carefree also. She seemed more relaxed and looked like she was having fun, and slowly began working her way into the fashion realm as she became more expressive with her personal styling. She went on the Loud Tour, which became the 7th largest grossing tour of 2011. During this period, her and Drake had an on and off romantic fling. To sum it up, Rihanna was basically just playing in his face, and he was hurt by it. In an interview, he said, "You know what she was doing to me? She was doing exactly what I've done to so many women throughout my life, which is show them quality time, then disappear. I was like, wow, this feels terrible." He describes being a confident man and feeling like Rihanna made him feel so small. She played him like a fiddle. He felt like that was the only girl with fame that paid attention to him. Rihanna, being the bad bitch she is, basically had Drake and Chris Brown beefing over her. They reportedly got into a fight at a club and Drake was throwing shots at him over Rihanna.
People, I know. That's part of the process that you don't like, right?
I just feel like, man, like just like for the media and like for any media outlet that listens to this interview, like don't ask me shit about that man when I come up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and leave that alone, you know? Stop preying on his insecurities, man, because, you know, his insecurities are the fact that I make better music than him, that I'm more popping than him, and that at one point in life, you know what I'm saying, the woman that he loves fell into my lap. I did what a real nigga would do and treated her with respect, so she's not up there talking down on me, you know what I'm saying? And all those things combined, you know, create an individual that comes up to your radio station and is just gonna, you know, do dumb shit. But it's like, it shouldn't be about tearing that man down. It shouldn't be about wanting to see me and him tear each other down. Like, we have an issue, and it's either gonna drag out or maybe in 10 years we'll laugh about it over drinks. But
recording her 6th studio album, Talk That Talk, a year later in 2011 was when she felt like she was having a nervous breakdown. She was working endlessly for what she describes as the busiest schedule she's ever had. She felt like she didn't really have time to herself and that her team was very inconsiderate of a cold that she was battling. She was working non-stop, sleeping with an IV in her arm, and all her team could think about was staying on the deadline. She legitimately started crying but wiped her tears to get back to work. She also started partying in low-grade nightclubs because that's where she felt like she could be herself and not be bothered. But this continuous partying and cryptic tweets led some people to believe that she was just looking for attention and had narcissistic personality disorder. For her album Talk That Talk, Rihanna dived more into the dance pop techno sounds, and her collab with Calvin Harris proved to be a success. Their song We Fell in Love became the most successful song of 2011 and was #1 for 10 weeks. Followed by another single, Where Have You Been? In 2012 is where we started seeing Chris and Rihanna become more publicly acquainted with each other. They collabed on multiple songs, Nobody's Business and Turn Up the Music. This is also when Chris Brown was saying Karrueche Tran. This caused some ruffle feathers between Rihanna and Karrueche as they threw some shots at each other. Most notably when Rihanna posted on Twitter about making someone her bitch and posting a picture of a pack of rice cakes with some hoop earrings. But the songs received negative reviews by critics, mostly because of their past issues together, but it was a point where they indirectly told the world that they were moving forward. Chris wasn't the only person Rihanna was getting cozy with. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky had a performance together where they looked really close, where he was very touchy and kissed on her neck. She also cameoed in his song Fashion Killer. But by then, all relationship rumors were shut down by A$AP and he called their union platonic. She released her 7th studio album, Unapologetic, which became her first #1 album in the country. Rihanna is really a hitmaker because her lead single's Diamond became her 12th #1 song. This song took over the radio waves and it was literally everywhere.
We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky.
Her other singles, Pour It Up and Love Songs, were all majorly successful.
All I see is signs, all I see is dollar signs.
It was her song Stay that really showed her vulnerable acoustic side, and of course was amazingly successful. Honestly, all of Rihanna's songs are. I don't gotta say nothing else besides everything she releases charts. But around this time, Rihanna took a break from releasing her own projects. She was doing more collaborations and expanding her musical sounds. She remixed on Wale's song Bad and hopped on another mega hit with Eminem called Monster. She dropped Bitch Better Have My Money, which was about her accountants who mismanaged her money,
Bitch better have my money.
winning a $10 million settlement. She also appeared in a few movies, including the voice animation for Home. As I stated previously about Rihanna's label not necessarily supporting her career, in 2015 Rihanna got a $25 million contract with Samsung that would be promoting Samsung Galaxy line of products, while Samsung would sponsor the release of her 8th studio album, Anti, and supporting the tour, while playing in a love triangle with Karrueche and Chris Brown. Karrueche knew the dynamics of their relationship, but of course, good old Chris Brown had a soft spot for Riri and continued to put a dent in their relationship.
Tell you he was dealing with her?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't
And did
know.
he tell her he was dealing with you? You don't know.
I don't know.
And when he told you he was dealing with her, you said okay?
Yes, because I was under the impression that it was a friend type of, not a friend, but it wasn't what it became to be.
Well, what was the truth you knew that you didn't tell?
I knew I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, wait a minute. I'll stay on that step for 1 minute. I'm going to repeat to you what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, but I didn't want to believe it. Huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just zip past that.
Yeah.
I knew, but I didn't want to believe it because...
I love you.
No question, you got one of the baddest chicks in the game, if not the baddest. You know, Karrueche's fly too, but at what point did you have to tell her she was just a rebound chick?
Oh boy.
You know what it was? It's time to go back home.
You know what? One thing about with me and Karrueche, like, she was my friend through it all. You know what I'm saying? So it was a friendship more than a relationship. Yeah, I still love her, but at the end of the day, it's like I got love for her. Like, she always gonna be my homie. So it's like I just broke it to her, like, look, I'm still in love with this person. I love you, but it's just hard for me. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to be honest. I couldn't lie anymore.
One night, Chris told her he was gonna go get something, just to see him posted up at a basketball game courtside with Rihanna. When it comes to Rihanna, she has grown into a style icon. As you can see, even in the most simplest ways, like this courtside picture of her rocking a pink pixie cut with a white top and heels, Rihanna is most known for her looks and aesthetics. Her natural aura radiates through her outfits. She always is very unique and confident in her looks, no matter how outrageous it may look to wear. Because in her eyes, you wear the outfit. It doesn't wear you.
I grew up in a really small island, and I didn't have a lot of access to fashion. But as far as I could remember, fashion has always been my defense mechanism. Even as a child, I remember thinking, she could beat me, but she cannot beat my outfit.
She has stunned in so many ways. This confidence is also what made her the queen of the Met Gala. Celebrity goes to the Met Gala to show off unique outfits to fit the theme. 2014 is where we really saw Rihanna creeping in with her Met looks. She looked elegant and soft with her white ensemble. The next 3 years, she came in like a bombshell, being the only memorable look for all 3 years of the Met Gala. She managed to follow the theme while being completely breathtaking and undeniably distinctive with her outfits. Rihanna became a fan favorite with her fashion sense. This was something that was in the works for a while. While Rihanna was dropping music, she was also laying the foundation of what would soon be her empire, Fenty. She started out small in 2011 when she teamed up with Armani underwear and Armani jeans to create a capsule collection of t-shirts, biker jackets, denim, and lingerie. Some of those items having her R logo mixed with Armani's. 2013, Rihanna presented her first women's collection for the British high street retailer, collaborating with American designer Adam Selman, launching at the London Fashion Week, also collaborating for their seasonal collections. 2014 is where we saw the launch of Puma, which was the catalyst for everything else. Puma and Rihanna was really groundbreaking for its release. Even though it was Puma's collection, it was still really Rihanna's. Puma was more so the benefactor. It's like Michael Jordan and Nike. Yes, it's Nike distribution, but it's Michael Jordan. It's a Michael Jordan shoe. The fact that Rihanna was able to separate herself from the Puma brand and solidify it as a Rihanna thing is what makes it unique. We've seen something similar to what Kanye did with Adidas. It wasn't an Adidas thing, it was a Yeezy brand. Rihanna became the creative director. Her first release with the Puma Creepers sold out in just 3 hours. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely owned a pair too. From the different variation of shoes to slides, Puma's stock rose alongside its gross income each quarter. Rihanna single-handedly brought Puma back on the map for kids and young adults. Her Creeper shoe then winning Best Shoe of the Year. Throughout the years, keeping her collaboration and relaunching new products, which evolved to streetwear for the company. She has also launched a collaboration with Dior for futuristic sunglasses. In 2016, she worked with Manolo Blahnik for the denim-driven collection. It featured sequins and embroidery influenced by Rihanna's hand tattoos. On launch day, the brand's website crashed several times due to high traffic. Rihanna was working on the blueprint to how she was going to build her business and how to make it work. All these collaborations has helped Rihanna evolve her business mindset, working small, then working her way up to making her own merchandise line. She spent her time building connections, focusing on quality over quantity, building trust with her consumers on the works she put out. Rihanna was working hard non-stop. In 2016, she released her last album to date, Anti, which is artistically her best album. The sound was different, innovative, cool, and different from anything we've heard from her before. This album, even if it's Rihanna's last, was a good goodbye album for her fans. The album peaked at #1 while only being exclusively on Tidal, becoming Rihanna's second #1 album and 8th top 10 album. The album's singles Work, Love on the Brain, and Needed Me all became top 10 hits.
You see me heavy work. You see me do me this. Must be love on the brain.
Even musically, Rihanna began making smart business choices. When she exited her old label in 2012, acquired the original recordings to all of her songs, she then founded her own label imprint under Roc Nation. This allowed her to release music and receive a major portion of the royalties and streaming. When Anti dropped, Rihanna earned $7.6 million from streaming, $2.5 million from sales, and $10.1 million in royalties. When I say filthy, you say rich. Travis Scott was one of the main producers of this album. Rihanna and him spending so much time in the studio, they actually developed a relationship. Lawrence Skalsman, a co-host of the Throwing Fits podcast, exposed the relationship on a complex issue. He was told not to expose the relationship in the issue, but did it anyways. Not because Travis didn't want anyone to know, but because Rihanna wanted to keep it low-key. This actually hurt complex relationship with Travis for the next few years after. In 2016, Rihanna won the Michael Jackson Vanguard Award, where Drake called her the love of his life and she curved him on stage. Drake has yet to recover. This was also a great performance by Rihanna as she made the vibe super fun and lively. In 2017, Rihanna finally released her highly anticipated makeup brand, Fenty Beauty. Fenty having over 40 all-inclusive shades, expanding the makeup game by having shades for more darker skin tones. Rihanna single-handedly had the makeup game shook. Makeup has always been tricky for darker shades because some brands prioritize fair-toned skin ranges. Rihanna's release somehow finally lit a light bulb to other companies to diversify their shade ranges, which is pretty interesting seeing the company scramble to finally include the other shade range, as if this hasn't been a complaint for years. You can see it from the 80s to the 2000s. People were dolled up looking like corpses, but nonetheless, things got better, but it really took for Fenty Beauty to break the bank its first month for other companies to see how profitable it is. Surprisingly, most of her wealth doesn't come from record sales, but her relationship with LVMH, and most specifically its billionaire CEO, Bernard Arnault. Forbes estimates that LVMH owned an estimated 50% of Fenty Beauty line she launched into Sephora stores worldwide in September of 2017. In its first few weeks, the brand reported $100 million in sales. Being affordable and easily attainable, Fenty Beauty was a phenomenon. She also released in the same year a collab with Chopard, a high jewelry collection co-designed with Chopard co-president and creative director. This is also when Rihanna started dating Saudi Arabian billionaire Hassan Jameel. During their 3-year relationship, there wasn't much the public knew about him, but she stated in a 2019 Vogue interview that she's been in an exclusive relationship for quite some time and it's going really well and that she's very happy. Hassan Jamil is a Saudi businessman and philanthropist. He is a deputy president and vice chairman of Saudi Arabian operations. Even though Rihanna has been building this blueprint for her brand before they were dating, who says that Hassan didn't have a helping hand? He could have given her the advice that helped her grow Fenty to exceeding expectations. Rihanna launched Fenty Beauty, Savage Fenty, and Fenty in 2017, 2018, and 2019. Then they broke up in 2020, but she did deeply care about this relationship. Rihanna had a goal. She wanted to become a singer, and she released an album every year for 7 years straight. She was ready for this new chapter in her life. She stated, "My career is my purpose, and it should never feel like anything other than a happy place. I've made little things a big deal, like going for a walk or going to the grocery store. I got into a new relationship and it matters to me. It was like I need to make time for this. Just like I nurture my business, I need to nurture this as well. I'll shut things down for 2 days, 3 days at a time. On my calendar, we now have the infamous P, which means personal days. This is a new thing." But the relationship just didn't work out. Her last project before the breakup was a luxury fashion house, becoming the first black woman to run a fashion house. There was a lot of hype surrounding this launch. Rihanna had a huge creative hand in the design, but there was a lot of setbacks, including the prices for the pieces, which people considered too expensive to purchase, and the sudden pandemic. But it wasn't the same for Savage x Fenty, which was launched a year prior. Savage x Fenty, like Fenty Beauty, was all-inclusive, which is a huge part of Rihanna's marketing strategy. Rihanna goes out her way to make people, especially women of color, feel included. You see the spectacles in her music because she effortlessly expands in every genre. She's touched on EDM, pop, techno, R&B, and reggae and Caribbean beats while maintaining her acoustic sound. Rihanna's entire brand is catered to virtually anyone. That's why Rihanna doesn't necessarily fit into one box. This ability to adapt has trickled down to her businesses. It's what makes it successful. So Savage x Fenty was catered towards people with regular bodies, that form of representation and realistic body standards. This allowed people to connect with her brands so easily. Her fashion house had amazing pieces, and I definitely think it's something that she should relaunch one day as a luxury brand. Because Rihanna is very in-depth with her products, her clothing brand should absolutely hold themselves to that standard in a high price range. She honestly just released it too soon in my opinion. It's something she could definitely relaunch later on to success. The same day that LVMH announced closing down Rihanna's fashion brand, they also stated that Rihanna's lingerie line, Savage x Fenty, raised $150 million to expand into retail. So when one door closes, another one opens. In 2020, that's when Rihanna and A$AP Rocky started dating. He was featured in Rihanna's Fenty Skin campaign because...
Who are you?
Man, I be that pretty motherfucker, man.
A$AP?
Yes, sir.
Rocky?
Yes, sir.
They became an item and he became the father of her 2 kids. Rihanna birthing the luckiest baby in the world. Every time we see RZA, he's smiling. And then you have her second son, Riot, born a year later, unveiling her second pregnancy at the Super Bowl. Rihanna's performance was the most watched Super Bowl performance. She didn't get paid for it, but it was actually a very smart business decision for her to do it anyway, because her anti-album went straight back into the charts and the searches for Fenty were up 809% after the show. I think Rihanna exceeded any expectation that anyone had for her in 2005. She has an ear for music like no other. A Reddit user summed up Rihanna's music in the most perfect way, saying, "She broke out with the upbeat Caribbean music for her first 2 albums, established herself with R&B between 2007 and 2009, helped popularize the hyper-colorful dance pop of the early 2010s that was also being explored by artists like Gaga and Kesha, ushered in the heyday of EDM that replaced choruses with bombastic electronic dubstep drops with smash hits like We Found Love and Where Have You Been. Released a massive trap banger, Bitch Better Have My Money, just as the genre was rising into popularity, jump-started the dancehall tropical house wave that would continue to grow with Drake's One Dance and would be gentrified for mass consumption with Shape of You. She can rap, She can kill a throwback sound like Love on the Brain. She can cross over into multiple markets. She stays relevant because she's never stuck in one genre like some of her contemporaries who have failed to adapt to modern sounds and have reached a dead end trying to recapture past glories. As far as A-list pop stars go, I can only think of Beyonce and Teairra as having such remarkable versatility, and even they haven't explored as many genres as Rihanna has. And that's 1000% true. Rihanna is crazy versatile, especially as a black woman. She got no flack for doing EDM as a Caribbean girl. Rock, techno, dance, nothing. She just does it and she kills it. She is virtually accepted anywhere she goes, and that type of free will to dive into any field is what makes Rihanna a universal pop star, because she is everything musically that cannot be duplicated. Who else is happy that this small town girl from Barbados made it to billionaire status without chasing after it? She authentically did it, and this is why we love Bad Gal Riri, because she's a bad bitch. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think about Rihanna's longevity. Make sure you like and subscribe. Toodles!